Now at sunrise, marching side by side, community members and Utica officials send a message that violence isn't the answer. Murder trial. The prosecution hires its own expert to evaluate Clayton Whitmore, and the findings are much different than the defense. Continuing coverage now, the Utica man who shot a grown man to death last year is sentenced in Oneida County Court. Derek Carter was originally charged with murder, but ended up pleading guilty to assault. He was sentenced to 7 years in prison with 5 years post-release supervision. Carter killed Charles D. Christine in his Rome apartment in March of 2013. Closing arguments are expected to take place today in the murder trial of Clayton Whitmore. As the trial entered day 8 yesterday, the prosecution called a psychiatric expert. According to that expert, the slaying of Alexandra Kogut in her SUNY Brockport dorm room was a case of domestic violence, not extreme emotional distress. The expert also testified Whitmore's childhood abuse did not play a role in Kogut's death. The prosecution may call one more witness today, followed by the closing arguments. The jury would begin deliberation. Brand new this morning, a Utica woman is under arrest after police say she stole clothing items and crashed into another car while trying to get away. New Hartford police say 20-year-old Valentia Kovalets took merchandise from the Sears department store at Sangertown Square Mall. After security attempted to detain her, Kovalets managed to get into her car and speed away. Police then located her while responding to a two-car accident on Commercial Drive. Now Kovalets is facing several charges, including robbery, a felony, assault, and numerous traffic violations. She is now in Oneida County Jail on $10,000 bail. Also today, President Obama will host a summit at the White House on youth sports safety and concussions. The president will be joined by young athletes, parents, coaches, experts, and professional athletes. Mr. Obama will also announce new commitments by both the public and private sectors to raise awareness about how to identify, treat, and prevent concussions. Still ahead, find out which postgraduate degree has increased in popularity. Coming up, we'll recap your top stories. Also, My Big Fat Greek Wedding sequel is set to walk back down the aisle. We'll have the details in your Hollywood Minute. The wife of the fire chief is facing a number of charges, accused of stealing thousands of dollars from the Schuyler Lake Fire Department. Lori Lamb of Hartwick volunteered to balance the books while the treasurer was on medical leave. Now she's accused of stealing $30,000. Lamb is charged with grand larceny, forgery, and falsifying business records. That's a look at some of the top stories this morning. Here's Bill with your Storm Tracker 2 forecast. Sunrise continues right now with hope for a change. People march near James and Steuben streets. Their message, stop the violence in Utica. Still searching, crews who look for the man who disappeared after attempting a water rescue in Delta Lake on Memorial Day. And at first there was one, now there are 2 local school districts that have voted its budgets down. It's 6:30. Good morning. Today is Thursday, May 29th. Your top story this morning, Utica residents are taking back the streets as dozens gathered for an End the Violence march. Many say they're ready to work together to put a stop to gun violence. They held signs that read, "Say a prayer for peace in our community," and "We need you, help us." The group marched through Utica's Cornhill section with one goal in mind, end gun violence. Organizers say this is an epidemic that has turned deadly. Just this year, a man was shot to death on Oneida Street in April, and in January, a man was killed by gunfire outside a bar on Rutgers Street. This group plans to keep marching until street violence comes to an end. Organizers have recently held community forums to talk about the problems throughout Utica. They say they hope the forums and marches will teach people that there are better ways than violence to remedy a disagreement. Continuing coverage now, dive teams will search for the 4th time this week for the man who has went missing in a Delta Lake. 32-year-old William Cook of Camden disappeared underwater Monday trying to save a teen who began struggling while swimming. Dive teams worked in the water for 10 hours yesterday, but again, no results. Authorities say Cook was on a boat with 4 others when a 14-year-old went for a swim. The teen began to struggle and Cook went in after him. The teen was rescued by a passing boat. Cook went under and never came up. Search crews will return to the lake at 7 this morning to resume their search.